You're stranded at sea and desperately need a boat, so which letter are you picking? If you chose X as your makeshift boat, you'd be silly, because it somehow manages to be dangerous even before you get in the water. Yeah, not very comfy to sit in, but lower it into the sea and you'll quickly realise it doesn't even float in any helpful way. The arms sit at awkward angles and the centre doesn't really trap any air. The whole thing just sort of disappears beneath the surface like a literal rock. There's also another problem. The shape looks suspiciously similar to those naval mines you see in old documentaries, you know, the ones that look like massive balls with spikes just drifting around waiting for ships to bump into them. So not only are you sinking, you also resemble an explosive hazard. So if it is your lucky day and a passing boat spots you, they're more likely to actually steer away rather than rescue you. Number 9. C. C is one of those letters that would actually work if you rotated it. But no, I know that annoys you guys so much, so in this video we're sticking to the harsh reality and have officially banned turning letters around. I can't handle the comments anymore saying that rotating letters is cheating. So in the real world, you lower this into the water upright and it immediately takes on water. The opening is on the side, which means the sea pours in like it's been invited. Within moments, the entire structure is filled up and sinks. And as you embark on your long and dark journey to the bottom of the sea, I guess we'll see you later. Yeah, sorry, that was terrible. Number 8. G. G is the first one that technically floats. That's already progress. The enclosed section traps some air and gives you a little pocket of buoyancy. You could climb in and for a moment it would feel like you might survive the voyage. The problem is balance. You see, the walls aren't really that high and the opening gives water a clear path inside, but as long as you sit perfectly still and assume the sea waves are calmer today, everything behaves. But the microsecond you lean a little too far or shift your weight to get that itch you've had for hours, a splash makes its way in. And once that's happened, the water doesn't politely stop. See, you've just created what is known as a siphon, and soon the entire thing fills up, bish bash bosh, you're underwater. But hey, at least for a brief time, we know it did work. What do they say? It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? Yeah, I think that can apply here. Number 7. H. H is surprisingly serviceable. When you lower it into the water, the bottom legs disappear beneath the surface, but the upper section still has enough volume to keep everything afloat. Yeah, look at that, we're using scientific language now, like volume. Aren't you impressed? But anyway, you sit across the middle bar and suddenly you've got something that resembles a small raft. Yeah, it's not the comfiest because of the sharp corners inside, but just bring some cushions with you or something, I don't know. The downside, however, appears once you start moving. The shape is all square and blunt, which makes it slow. Water pushes against it instead of sliding past, so you will survive as long as you can, but without reaching land anytime soon. And the clock is ticking. There's also the issue of depth. If you do reach some shallow areas, these lower legs will hit the seabed long before you expect them to, so you will most likely end up being stuck like a piece of furniture someone left in a tide. Number 6. I. I is the kind of boat that works purely because nature occasionally does strange things. There's a famous example of a long tree that has been floating upright in a lake for over a century. No one really planned it that way, but there it is, still bobbing around like a wooden exclamation mark. So you have to treat I in the same way, and suddenly you've got a surprisingly stable floating object. The letter stands vertically in the water with just the top portion sticking out, and because the centre of gravity is, well, underwater, it actually makes this one super stable. You can even do some jumping jacks on it or whatnot. The catch is that you also have to remain vertical. Even once you get tired, maybe those jumping jacks weren't such a good idea. There isn't much room to sit comfortably, so now the question is, how long can you stand up before your legs give out? Number 5. O. O floats quite happily once you climb on top of it. The circular shape distributes weight nicely and the enclosed ring traps plenty of air to keep it buoyant. You legit just sit there in the middle and drift along the waves. In very technical terms, it qualifies as a real boat because it keeps you above the water. But in reality, it comes with a whole multitude of problems. One of which is that it's pretty much like being on a floating barrel in the sense that it actually won't stop moving. You're going to have to continuously jog as it rotates beneath your feet to stop you falling in. So yeah, in practical terms, it behaves more like one of those sea buoys that mark shipping lanes. You know, the ones that you always mistake for someone swimming whenever you quickly glance at the sea. Yeah, we all do it. But yeah, whatever. You can't steer this thing or even paddle it. You're just simply existing in the ocean while hoping something interesting passes by. Again, it works, but purely powered by your patience. Number 4. R. R finally brings some engineering and thought into the situation. When you lower it into the water, the rounded upper section traps air and lifts most of the structure above the surface. That gives you a stable platform to sit on, but the interesting part is the leg, because the other half of the letter is still underwater, so with a little creativity, you can attach a small motor or some sort of vibrating mechanism to it. I found this one in my mum's drawer prior to my sea trip. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it'll work. But anyway, that leg acts like a primitive propeller. Instead of paddling with your hands, you let the up and down vibration push the water behind you, thus propelling your R boat in any direction you desire. It's definitely not fast, but hey, at least you can attach more vibration thingies to it. Number 3. W. W is perfect for company. The two dips in the letter act like little seats, which means that two people can sit side by side without fighting for space. The structure spreads your weight across multiple points, so it stays balanced even when the water gets a bit choppy. Although keep in mind that the floor inside those dips isn't perfectly smooth, it is literally sharp corners in fact, which might make you shuffle around trying to find a comfortable position. Still, it floats without much complaint, and the real advantage appears when you connect several W's together. Line them up and you suddenly have a long floating chain. Add enough of them and you've basically invented a ferry. Number 2. T. T is the choice for anyone who values speed. At the surface, you only see the top bar, which slices through the water just like a surfboard. And beneath the surface is the vertical section that acts as a stabilizing fin. That fin keeps the boat upright while reducing sideways wobble. When waves push against you, the lower section cuts through them rather than letting the whole thing roll around. It's simple but effective. With a bit of paddling, and if you hit the right wave, you can actually travel surprisingly quickly. This one is kinda designed to stand up, but there's plenty of room for you to sit or even lie down if things get tiring, though there aren't really any sides to it, meaning that you will end up getting splashed by the cold, salty seawater. Number 1. U. And finally, U takes the top spot because it behaves exactly how you want a boat to behave. The curved sides trap a large pocket of air, giving it reliable buoyancy. This symmetry keeps it balanced even when the water moves beneath you. There's also enough space inside to sit comfortably instead of clinging to the edges. You can add supplies, stretch your legs, maybe even lie down if the sea is calm. There's plenty of room, even to make different platforms so that you can fully try to live on this thing. Say, have your storage underneath and a higher floor is where you can sit. Put it this way, if I was stranded at sea, I'd want to have you with me. So, subscribe. Nailed it.